It is 5:30. Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Meister,
Present.
Councilmember Beltran,
Present.
Councilmember Wyra,
Present.
Vice Mayor Carrillo,
Present.
Mayor Flores.
Present. We'll go into oral communications. This is the opportunity to address the council on any matter scheduled for closed session. Unless additional time is authorized by the council, all commentary shall be limited to 3 minutes. We don't have anyone in-house. Do we have anyone on virtually?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. We'll move on to the city council closed session items.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have 3 items on closed session this evening. The first is pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.95, liability claimant Esmeralda Espinoza, agency claimed against City of Porterville. Item 2 is pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D3, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, significant exposure to litigation, 2 cases in which facts are not yet known to potential plaintiffs. And the third is pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D4, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, initiation of litigation, 2 cases.
Thank you. It is 5:31. We will now go into closed session. We will reconvene open session and report on any reportable action taken in closed session.
On item A1, claim by Esmeralda Espinoza, on a motion by Vice Mayor Carrillo and seconded by Councilmember Beltran, a 5-0 vote, that carries.
Thank you. Well, now, I invite you to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Beltran and to remain standing for an invocation or moment of silence.
Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there anyone that would like to come forward and do an invocation? If not, please join me for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. We'll now move into oral communications. This is the opportunity to address the council on any matter of interest, whether on the agenda or not. Please address all items not scheduled for public hearing at this time. Unless additional time is authorized by the council, all commentary shall be limited to 3 minutes. Please state your name and address for the record, and we will continue to adhere to the 3-minute time period per person so that we can continue in our decision-making this evening. Is there anyone that would like to come forward?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Greg Meister, and I'm a resident, City of Porterville. My address is on record. I'd like to address last meeting's failed resolution. During the COVID pandemic, my family spent considerable resource and time procuring hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin so to treat family members whose doctors had remarkably suffered a memory lapse of their med school semester covering the treatment of respiratory illness. We learned early on the simplicities of prevention, as in maintaining sufficient vitamin D levels, because over half of hospitalizations and deaths were found to be vitamin D deficient. I was discriminated against by my employer, my Rotary Club, and I will never forget President Biden telling us the unvaccinated will suffer a cold, dark winter of death. In comes the City of Porterville, jumping on the lockdown bandwagon and freely giving out medical advice. And don't say you didn't, because that horse has left the barn. Through your COVID committee gift card operation, you promoted and paid your constituents to take an experimental product supporting only those businesses that towed the line. We now know what Big Pharma knew all along. Everything about their vaccine efficacy claims were a lie. There is a growing mountain of peer-reviewed reports from around the world showing an unprecedented rise in all-cause mortality, death directly tied to vaccine, and numerous vaccine side effects that include, and I'm sure you've heard, blood clots and myocarditis. My goodness, there's a likelihood you may already have blood on your hands. Last week, I watched 2 members who were on this council during COVID lament over this resolution being such a waste of time. Another says, Porterville did nothing illegal. True, but what the city did was immoral. The right thing would be for the city to make a public apology for not even considering a stand against the multi-billion-dollar fear-mongering campaign that was COVID. But, you say, we only did what our government asked of us, said every good German after World War II. The Medical Freedom Resolution was promoted to help stop you from doing again what you've already proven you'll do. There are a growing number of this city's residents that now see that the majority on this council just don't get it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Meister. Is there someone else that would like to come forward? Please do so.
Good evening, Mayor and City
You can
Council.
pull it down.
Okay, so I'm on my tiptoes here. My name is Christy Martin. I'm here on behalf of the Porterville Chamber, and I just wanted to give a few updates on some upcoming events and activities that we have going on. Where'd my notes go? I just want to give a reminder that our next coffee with the CEO is going to be tomorrow, Wednesday, February 21st at 9 a.m. at Stafford's. So this is just an opportunity for the businesses in town to come and meet other members and chat with the CEO and our board. So anybody who wants to discuss their business, seek any advice, or share their needs is welcome to join us. I also want to notify our businesses that the California Office of the Small Business Advocate is holding a recurring webinar on the third Wednesday of every month. The first one's going to be tomorrow. It's at 10 a.m. and it's called Outsmart Disaster. They'll be teaching you how to plan and protect your business and how to build a business continuity plan in 4 weeks. You can find registration information on our website event calendar, and this is a no-cost webinar that's open to any businesses. We will also be this week having a ribbon cutting for JD Plumbing. They are our new tenant in Suite D at 93 North Main Street. That's going to be on Thursday, February 22nd at 11 a.m. So we encourage anybody who's available to come out and meet with JD Plumbing. They're a really great new business. Not new, but new brick and mortar here in town. Our next First Friday Coffee is going to be on March 1st at 7 a.m. at Galaxy Theaters. Our sponsor is She-Mogul Media, and we're looking forward to seeing everybody out there and learning more about some of the media and marketing services that they provide for the community. Just an update that we have closed applications for our junior CEO program. We had 8 applications ranging all the way from 6th grade to 12th grade. So we're excited to kick off with them. We're going to be kicking off this weekend, and you're going to be able to see them at the Spring Festival on April 13th. They're going to be showcasing their products and actually getting to sell them. So we're excited, and they're very excited. So please make sure you come by and see them at the Spring Festival. And lastly, we are going to be doing a women-owned businesses recognition campaign in March. So just make sure you follow along on our social media. We're going to be highlighting some of our women chamber members and the amazing things they're doing in our community. So thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Is there someone else that would like to come forward? Please do so. Are you coming up, Scott? Okay. All right. Do we have anyone on social media?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please let that person in.
Hello, am I coming through?
Is it? Hello?
Yes, can you guys hear me? This is Josh Flowers.
Please
Am I not
continue.
coming?
Please continue.
Okay, Josh Flowers, address on record. Real quick, today I just want to come to you again and with a great concern, one that strikes my very heart of our governance and the first rule, which is to protect the rights of its citizens. It seems to me that we've strayed far away from the founding principles, and it's time to confront the harsh reality of our situation. I must begin by acknowledging the consistency of Councilmember Meister and Beltran for trying to uphold the first, the first duty, which is our rights. And I get where the mayor and vice mayor are coming from. But however, the crux of my discussion today is going to be with Mr. Wyrock. My disappointment doesn't stem from the council's failure to safeguard medical freedom, though the resolution debated, but rather the egregious waste of time. Over 5 hours to my account on this matter regarding fundamental rights and liberties. Now, this council's leadership, or lack thereof, mirrors the indecisiveness plagued by our leaders in Washington and Sacramento. Attempting to pander to both sides does not showcase strength but weakness. It's disheartening to witness votes cast against one's principles especially when just at the end of last meeting, it was claimed the city did nothing wrong. Every business you see that is no longer in business, they only have 27 days of operating cash, and it was us who shut them down. Yet in the same breath, we admitted that we violated everybody's rights and that we swore to protect. Moreover, dismissing the concerns of those without Porterville addressing its irrelevant and gross misunderstanding of our community. Porterville's community extends beyond the mere geographical boundaries, reaching from Plainview to the Indian Reservation and from Ducor to Poplar. It's a community where we stand and we spend our time, raise our children, shop, volunteer, and contribute to countless ways. To suggest their grievances matter less because they do not have a Porterville address is ignoring the very essence of our community. Such a stance reveals a profound disconnect, making you, sir, the true outsider among us. Lastly, the rush to push an agenda item through without proper discussion is a clear indication of the type of leadership we are under. It sends a message, do as I say, regardless if it violates your rights or your position. This approach is not only undemocratic, it is a dire warning of leadership that we might endure in a future crisis. I have nothing else to say.
Thank you, Mr. Flowers. Is there anyone else that would like to come on?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. We'll now move on to the reports. This is the time for all committee, commission, board reports, subcommittee reports, and staff informational items, Parks and Leisure Services. Hi, Janet.
Hi, Mayor Flores. My name is Janet Uresti, and I'm a member of the city's Parks and Leisure Services Commission. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. The Parks and Leisure Services weed abatement crew continues to be extremely busy cleaning up encampments. I don't know if you've seen pictures of the before and after, but they've been doing a great job. Cleanups occur citywide on a weekly.
Wait a minute.
Oh, sorry.
We're trying to look at the pictures
Oh.
over here. Okay.
We saw them at our commission meeting, and they're doing a really nice job with them.
Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay, cleanups occur citywide on a weekly basis with an average of 3 encampments per day recently. The weed abatement crew has been spending as much time or more on encampments as they have actual weed abatement of late. The third annual Shamrock Shape Up has 172 participants in the fitness challenge. Their goal is to reach 1,000 minutes of exercise from February 1st to March 16th. Those who do receive a medal, and I brought my fancy shirt. We got our shirts on Friday. If you guys didn't sign up, you need to sign up next year. Even though there's people that cheat, I'm not naming names, but just saying, I get those weekly minutes, and I'm like, there's no way. Okay, you know who I'm talking about. I won't name names. The military banner program submitted, period ended February 1st. There will be 50 new honorees in 2024, making a total of 985 since the program began in 2016. As for youth sports, registration is underway for the Junior Pirates Track and Field Club. It's open to youth ages 9 to 14. The athletes will participate twice a week and have 2 local meets, and practices will begin soon. Youth baseball registration is also underway. Boys and girls ages 4 to 13 are welcome to play. Practices begin in April with games being played in May at the sports complex. Arena soccer practice has begun at the sports complex. More than 200 boys and girls ages 5 to 13 are playing our popular modified version of arena soccer, which takes place within outdoor arenas made of 4x8 plywood sheets. Other upcoming dates to note are March 1st, pool party reservations are open. The Wall of Fame ceremony takes place March 8th at noon in Centennial Park. And the annual Youth Fishing Derby is set for March 16th at Murray Park. And this concludes the report. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your report. Do we have library and literacy? No? Arts Commission? Nope. Animal Control Commission? Nope. Youth Commission? Nope. To Talk? No. Moving right along, we'll go into the staff informational reports.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. We do have 3 informational reports on the agenda this evening. We're happy to present those or answer any questions that you might have.
Staff, council, you've had time to look at the staff information reports. No questions? No? No? Okay. Did you have any comment? Councilmember Beltran?
We have to, go ahead, Ray, if you got something.
I'm trying to remember, field use for baseball.
The only question, I met with staff earlier this morning, and I'm trying to remember, just on the public record, I spoke with Mr. Rodriguez, who came and addressed us at the last council meeting to address some of his concerns with Burton School and their charges. And I got clarification from him that the school is charging, which had charged them last year $75 a day to use not the dedicated ball fields that were designed or put in by the city, but the rest of the campus there. And it was brought to my attention that one of the problems is that they were asked by Burton School District to not use the campus until 6 p.m. When previously had been 5 p.m., which pushes off a lot of their, an extra hour of longer for kids to be out utilizing these fields. One thing, is I think most of this agreement is going to have to be between Porterville Little League and Burton, but just putting Burton on notice that these schools, and PUSD, it's the same thing. These are considered parks when school's not in session. And I was reading through the actual act of, through state regulations on this, and I really am disappointed by their leadership. I don't know if it would be the board or superintendent, what direction these are going, or who's taking this direction. But a lot of these campuses are closed and locked up, and so they're not being utilized by the underprivileged neighborhoods. We live in an area that we know is underprivileged financially, and so it's really disappointing to see some of the legalese terminology being used that is exorbitant to some of these organizations. These are feeder programs that feed the junior high and high school level athletics, and we've seen many accomplishments through local athletics in our area. And it's just disappointing to see the rate that they're being charged of. It was $75 a day. Now I believe they're asking them it's going to be changed to $100 a day on a field that's already watered by the schools, that's already mowed by the schools, and on top of that, they're going to charge the Porterville Little League for their use, even though they're not asking for any other equipment, they're not asking for any kind of setup. So it's just disappointing as I'm digging into this, and I hope to next time have some more information to address that. But I know we're doing what we can on here. The fees are set, and we have the lowest day fee, the second lowest field usage fee, and tied for the lowest in the actual utility rate. So I'm proud to see as a city that we are keeping that in line to support those organizations, and just disappointed that the two local school districts are somewhat making that difficult for that. So that's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Meister?
Yeah, my thought on that, and just to add, this is a special case where we do have control of the light fees. And so we have the ability to use discretionary funds. Now, I did talk to Frank as well, just going on record. I didn't get into the details of what Burton was charging, and he didn't have an exact number on what they pay the city, and I don't know if we have that exact number either as of now. But, or is there, do you have that off the top of your head?
For this current season,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like 4,200 or so. I don't have the exact
Okay.
number. That's for February through May for 2 fields for usage and lights.
Well, that's a good ballpark number. We won't hold you to it, but it's something to work with. So with that, my thought is, can we use discretionary spending to assist the Little League program to make some kind of cut? I know it opens the door for other organizations possibly wanting a similar access to funds. But I think just the fact that we are running the lights, and this could be a good opportunity to promote America's pastime sport and keep our Little League thriving, right? And they could use those funds in other ways that they raise through their program. So that's my thought on it.
Any other comment?
I'll make the comment.
Okay.
Thank you for the information. It always is enlightening to get the facts and some more data to be able to articulate comments that are brought before us by community. And thank you, Councilmember Beltran, for adding the additional information about the school districts. And I too am I'm not too well versed in the state requirements and things like that, but I think that's really interesting and probably something I will also look into more about the use of those fields, and that's disappointing in just hearing that and considering that. I feel like it's important. I don't know about, Councilmember Meister is right. This is going to open the door and to not another organization, all organizations that, because they all are dealing with the same type of concerns of the cost. And I think it should be dealt with first at the school district where the initial barrier is. That's just my initial thoughts as right now with the information.
Any other comment?
If I may, thank you, Mayor. Great discussion up here, and maybe some additional information from staff from the conversations we've had up here would be prudent, and maybe we take a look at all youth activities that are going on in the city and what those charges are, and take a look at that whole bucket of cost and see, itemize it out a little bit and see if there's an opportunity, as council members suggested, to cut some of these fees to, allow these kids to play and to enjoy their childhood. Just a recommendation from me, and I'd be willing to look at some of those numbers in the future if an additional staff report could be provided and some information from Councilmember Beltran and the Vice Mayor on the schools and those requirements. I could easily support that. Thank you.
I just have a question, not even a question, a comment that the city schools committee has not met, and this is probably something that could be brought to the discussion for the city schools committee at that point, since you have the representative from the school districts there, and at least start a dialogue and go from there. That's the only comment I'm going to make, but I can appreciate the report and all the information that has been brought to the table.
And we're happy to reach out and we can get a meeting scheduled if that is the direction of the council.
Because we have representatives on that committee. Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll move on to the consent calendar. All consent calendar items are considered routine and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these matters unless a request is made, in which event the item will be removed from the consent calendar. All items removed from the consent calendar for further discussion will be heard at the end of scheduled matters. Council, we have items 1 through 9. Are there any noted conflicts or anything that needs to be brought to attention?
No conflict, but could we pull agenda item number 7 for discussion, please?
Number 7. Anything else? If there is nothing else, then we will, is there a motion for items 1 through 6, 8, and 9?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, you have a second, no further discussion, with item number 7 be put on after scheduled matters. Call for the vote. Passes unanimous, 5-0. We'll now move on to the scheduled matters. Item number 11. Hey, wait a minute, I said 1 through 9, what happened to number 10? I was going to say, where's number 10? That was a test, huh? I must have passed this test. Okay, scheduled matter number 11, or number 10?
Thank you, Your Honor. The first scheduled matter before you this evening is a consideration of appointment of city representative on the Porterville Flag Day Committee. And since 1982, the Porterville community has upheld the annual tradition of the Flag Day celebration at the shopping center located at the northeast corner of Olive Avenue and D Street. Originally initiated by the Smith family of Smith's Market, the ceremony involves lowering the previous year's American flag and raising a new one on the prominent flagpole. Today, the Porterville Flag Day Committee, consisting of dedicated community partners, works diligently to honor and sustain this patriotic tradition. At its meeting on February 6th, at Councilmember Meister's request, the City Council did vote to bring forward an item to consider officially appointing Councilmember Meister to serve as the city's representative on this Flag Day Committee. And with that, the recommendation is that the council consider the appointment of Councilmember Meister to serve as the city representative on the Porterville Flag Day Committee.
Thank you. I don't have a problem with Councilmember Meister serving on the committee, but we have staff also on this committee? We don't have?
I believe we have a member from Community
That
Development.
attends. That's the question that I had. Okay, that was it.
Well, and I'll just kind of state, city's already very involved in this committee. Just getting a council member to represent and continue on the tradition. Now, 1982, I don't want to make anybody feel old, but it's longer than I've been alive. So I want to continue this tradition. You know, the mayor speaks at the event every year. Parks and Leisure sets up seats, speakers, microphone. Fire department is now lowering and raising the flag, and it's a great look. And then we have Porterville Police Department shutting down Olive to bring the flag out. And I remember last year, it was really great seeing the kids all get involved and pulling that big giant flag down. It was really neat. And so I just want to continue to build on this momentum, and part of that, I believe, is hopefully appointing me to that representative, and that's my request.
First of all, I just have a comment for a moment there. I thought you said the mayor, it has been around since the 1980s. I was afraid you were going to add a year before, something like that. I was worried what was going to come out. Well, no, first of all, I want to make the motion that Councilmember Meister can serve, but watch the dates, okay? I make a motion that Councilmember, and we have a second. No further discussion. Call for the vote. Passes unanimous, 5-0. Okay, moving on to the next item.
Thank you, Your Honor. The next item before you this evening is the animal services contracts with the cities of Lindsay and Woodlake, and Chief Costello will be presenting this item.
Thank you, City Manager Hildreth, Mayor, members of council. Captain Josh Manus, who's in command of the division overseeing animal control, will provide the staff report, and then we'll try to answer any questions or provide any further insight that you might need.
Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. The chief told me I was presenting tonight. I thought he was joking, but apparently he's not in a joking mood this evening. So I'll commence to providing the staff report. The Porterville Police Department provides animal shelter services for the city of Lindsay and the city of Woodlake, as outlined in each agreement for animal shelter services, which allows for automatic one-year extensions. The contracts which are attached for reference were last reviewed in 2016. As part of these agreements, fees are charged to both municipalities for specific services consisting of intake and care of animals throughout the duration of their time at the Porterville Animal Shelter. While this agreement outlines specific types of animals, the most commonly encountered animals are dogs. Staff has recently initiated an overview of the contracted fees compared to the time staff spends on maintenance and care of animals received from the aforementioned agencies. Staff spends an approximately 1 to 2 hours per day as a combined total for intake and maintenance, care, and custody of the animal while it's in our possession at the Porterville Animal Shelter. During a review of 2023 statistical information For the care of animals, the Porterville Animal Shelter received a combined total of 313 dogs between the city of Lindsay and the city of Woodlake, with 243 coming from the city of Lindsay and 70 coming from the city of Woodlake. This cumulative total has nearly doubled since 2020. The Porterville Animal Shelter has also experienced a steady increase in the number of animals picked up within the city of Porterville over the last few years. A review of the monetary compensation based on billing procedures for services rendered by the Porterville Animal Shelter during 2023 totaled $10,068 charged to both organizations. The breakdown was $6,898 from the city of Lindsay and $3,170 from the city of Woodlake. These fees are determined by the intake type to include live, and deceased animals, and those in need of quarantine. While staff makes every effort possible to adopt out and reunite animals with their owners from both the city of Lindsay and the city of Woodlake, staff often has a difficult time, as many of the dogs have been picked up as strays and are animal, human aggressive, and unclaimed by their owners. This also exposes the city to unnecessary liability through potential staff injuries or animal injuries from providing services to cities outside of jurisdiction. This risk of liability to the city comes at a high risk and is not an efficient or effective use of staff or city resources, which could be spent on animal issues within the city of Porterville. In its analysis, staff took into consideration several factors during the review of this matter, which included the growth of the city, which correlates to an increased animal population as well. Irresponsible dog ownership and irresponsible breeding practices also play a role. After a detailed evaluation, staff is recommending termination of the current agreement for animal shelter services between the city of Porterville and the cities of Lindsay and city of Woodlake. The termination procedure is outlined in the agreements, providing for a 180-day notice prior to the termination date. While the recommendation does not come easily, staff believes the termination of the agreement will allow for more efficiency and focus on animals within the Porterville jurisdiction, which will also mitigate euthanasia cases. And we're open to questions.
Thank you very much for the staff report. Councilmember Beltran, do you have any questions?
I was just curious, what's going to be the capacity for the new facility for dogs?
Yes, sir. So the current capacity is approximately 85 kennels. That's including intake kennels, overflow kennels. When we compare that to the kennels we have in the city of Lindsay, there's approximately 115. However, due to the age of the shelter and the current condition, of the approximate 115, there's about 100 that are operable.
Okay. Councilmember Moira?
Thank you. Of the 330, great report. Of the 313 dogs that were part of the analysis in 2023, it looks like we billed about $10,000, or could you explain that to me again?
Yes, sir, you are correct. That's a cumulative total between the two, and there should be the attachment you have that has a breakdown of the fees associated with the contract.
Yes, sir. And then the hours, 1 to 2 hours per day, that's for the whole control of the animal here in Porterville. That's not per dog, right?
That is per dog,
That is
correct.
per dog.
Because I would like to explain that there's a process for intake that requires staff. If you have an animal that needs vaccination, it has to be food. You have to give it food, water. You have to clean the kennels, walk the animal to make sure it gets appropriate exercises. So it is a process.
And then it's hearing that there's room in Lindsay for about 100 dogs, is that correct? And
At the current time, correct.
At the current time. Do you know what their capacity is currently? I mean, are they like at their limits?
So generally, I should rephrase my answer. So that's, when I say 100, we can go over that capacity because you have to take into consideration, sometimes the dogs are doubled up. If you have a female dog who just had puppies, let's say you have 6 to 10 puppies with the mother dog, then your total is going to go up to 11. If you have smaller dogs, you can accommodate up to 3 at a time. So just because we have 100 kennels, the population per kennel can exceed the number of kennels that we have.
Okay. And then the 180 days in the language, I think that was smart to put in there to serve notice. Are they able to, in your opinion, are they able to establish the controls that they need to continue to service
So,
the
so,
need in
so
the
if I,
community?
so if I may, I can provide a little bit of history because this original contract started actually in 2009. And the Porterville Animal Shelter was established in 2009 after Lindsay Animal Control decided to discontinue their own animal control facility. That's how we ended up in the animal control business. Since then, since 2009, and the last time the contract was reviewed was in 2016, which is the one that is attached now that re-ups annually. We have one full-time animal control service manager, one live release coordinator, and no animal control officers right now. We have one that we just hired, but he is on training, and then we're in the process of hiring the second one, but that process takes a long time. With that, we've had the same staffing in animal control since 2009, and what is occurring is with our calls, we're going to about 5,078 calls a year, us. We're intaking about 1,776 just in dogs ourselves. Lindsay brought us 240, and Woodlake brought us 70. With looking at this, when we do monthly reports on all our units at our police department, including animal control services, we also do an end-of-year report. Usually we get this information from our computer-aided dispatch and also the manual entries that are done by our animal control services manager. So when I looked at all these numbers, we looked at the exact number that we have month to month on where we're at and the increased services that we have been providing for the last several years. And what happens is it's not necessarily the amount of shelter space we have, it's the capability. It's the staff that we have that we want to provide the best service to the city of Porterville. And I think that as we went through this process, the captain and I looking at that, I don't know if we're providing the best services to our own customers and providing that public safety. So with that, I just wanted to give a little bit of history because I know 2009 was a long time ago and when this started, and I mean, I was here at the PD, but not involved in animal control, so just wanted to provide that.
Thank you. I have no other questions. Thank you, Mayor.
Councilmember Meister, any questions, comment?
No questions, just comment. There is still the Lindsay Dog Pound, and I believe we'll be putting it up for sale eventually, and hopefully that presents them opportunity in the future. I listening to reading the staff report and hearing you now, we need to take care of our own and do what we can to provide that great service that Porterville PD wants to provide to its citizens, and so I support you in that, so thank you.
Vice Mayor?
I would just say, great report, and I think it breaks down all the efforts that the city's making. I feel comfortable with the report, no questions.
I don't have any questions with the report. I just want, the only question I ask is, has there already been outreach to both?
Yes, I have talked to both agencies over a week ago and again today.
Oh, okay.
And I would like to point out, while we did reach out prior to preparing the agenda item, we did subsequently, and I understand that the council all did receive a letter
Yes.
from the acting city manager from the city of Lindsay requesting that we renegotiate the contract with them. Just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Thank you for bringing that as a transparency, because we did receive it. We received it this afternoon before council meeting. Councilmember Wyrock?
This week, or late last week, a coworker of mine was attacked by a dog here in Porterville when he was out on a run during his lunch hour. And I just want to thank all the city staff that responded to help him through that moment, for the police visits at the hospital and for the care that the hospital gave to my coworker. And I would like to make a motion that City Council authorize the termination of current agreements for animal shelter services between the City of Porterville and the cities of Lindsay and Woodlake, and direct staff to provide written notice to the aforementioned cities consistent with the agreements.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second, no further discussion. Call for the vote. Passes unanimous, 5-0. Okay, we'll move on to number 13.
Yes, Your Honor. Number 13 is the status and review of declaration of local flood emergency. And we would like to ask Director Knight to provide an update just on the weather and the forecast, and just to give the council some idea as to what we are expecting, what we endured during this last storm system. So, Mr. Knight?
Absolutely. Coming into council tonight, I checked my weather rock and it was wet. So it was raining at the time at the start of the council meeting. You know, given the impacts of the March storm event, I used to be the only person watching the weather. Now we argue about the weather and see what time it's going to start raining. But no, absolutely, city staff is continuing to be prepared for all manners of events. The moment you're not prepared is when we'll get the downpour and the flooding. So as long as we continue to stay prepared, it seems like it comes in manageable waves. So ongoing activities is to maintain available sandbags and supply at the corporation yard should we need to put those out in the event of a downpour. Continued storm drain maintenance has been going on. You've probably seen the large hydro truck out cleaning DIs and areas of the city that are impacted by localized flooding. We've been doing some management of ponding and localized flooding here at City Hall and a couple areas through town that we refer to as hot spots. So you'll see us frequent those through the event. The storm tonight is relatively light as compared to the March storm event, but expected to get about a ½ inch through tonight and into tomorrow morning. And then going into the weekend, a little bit lighter, less than a ¼ inch. So although areas around us are being impacted heavily, I know over the weekend, Visalia has seen some significant rainfall, some heavy flooding, and areas to the south are seeing the same. It's kind of going around us at this time. So ongoing process for myself is meeting with the National Weather Service on scheduled webinars, getting those reports, tracking the areas of impact for the city, and keeping us up to date and prepared for anything that should occur. Happy to answer any questions council may have.
Thank you very much for that report. Council
And other than that, we are just continuing to work on our FEMA claims, and we will continue to do so until we get a determination from FEMA.
Thank you. Any comment? Please, Councilmember Wyra.
I noticed the minors no longer being counted on there. Is that going to be a long-term thing? Do we know where the status is with that family? No? Okay. No, that's fine. I noticed it, and I just hoping that was resolved. The only other question, I remember we did a walkthrough, I don't know, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, because I noticed that we're kind of getting higher in the numbers of people utilizing, I think because of the weather, that we do have those extra cots handy, so if the numbers do, okay, that was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wyrock, did you have comment?
Yes, I heard some news, and I'm sorry I don't have any details to share, but didn't FEMA adjust their reimbursements recently? Is that going to impact any of our claims, or are we in a pretty good position? And if we had to readjust our claims, what might the total dollar amount of exposure we have that, we're not going to get reimbursed for? Could it be the full amount?
I can take a stab at it. So claims have been submitted on our emergency response already. We've not received any notification of the amount of reimbursement increasing. However, much was mentioned a few minutes ago. We are working on those claims that are being finalized, but I will caution the council that the information that's coming is they're scrutinizing every bit of the claim and claims across multiple agencies and irrigation districts, and the likelihood of them being approved is being told to us to not depend on a full reimbursement or an approval of claims, because the amount of detail and the scrutiny that's being put on this area is leaning to a denial of multiple claims.
That kind of leads me to the next question. I don't know about the agreement with the Armory, but, if we have to eat that cost, if it could be seen as a credit for our service to the community as we move forward to try to purchase the building for other city services. Just a comment. Thank you.
The claim for the armory is still being processed, and we're waiting on a determination letter from FEMA.
Thank you, Director Knight.
Councilmember Meister?
Do we know the snowpack volume?
I've not been tracking that. Just previous to the last few storms, we were at about 68%, but I know the last couple storms have added to that, so the survey is not up to date. I will tell you, the reservoir has seen some significant activity over the last couple days. So since the 19th, we were averaging an inflow of about 200 to 300 CFS. Given the start of the rainfall around the 19th, increased up to 600 and then to 1,200 CFS by the hour. And currently, we've not come down below 800. So it's fluctuating between 800 and 900 currently. So this is just additional rainfall, higher elevations. The forecast is predicting snow above 6,000 and medium to heavy rainfall below 6,000. So.
Yeah, and I mean, we could see the snowpack building, right, when the clouds do clear. And I not that I fear, because staff in this room and then supporting staff really showed their strengths last season and what we can handle. And of course, it was a 300% snowpack last year. And then we got those warm rains, and it almost feels like it's building for that again in some ways. Here's a question, because we voted for a declaration of drought emergency tonight, and this is kind of off topic, but I'm just thinking about it. Where are we at? Is the aquifer still down? Do you know any, with 2 great seasons in a row, where are we at on that? Are we still in a drought?
So it's a very open-ended question. In some cases opinionated, in some cases factual. I will tell you, the city continues to monitor our groundwater levels, and we've seen recovery up to about 2013, 2014 levels, and continues to recover. As far as the state's website and drought declaration, they're not showing any drought in California. However, we're still also responding to drought projects, right? So the East Porterville project is still being implemented. We're in the process of finalizing the bid packet documents and going out to bid for equipping the final phase of the project, which is the Aiken Well, we call it, or Well 34. And so that is the final capacity portion to the East Porterville project. So as we talk about some of the drought emergencies, not necessarily based on the fact that no water, we're still responding to the drought as a measure of projects. So, in a couple different ways, we're trying to continue through our monthly reports of conservation levels, right? And then we'll be bringing those sounding levels and capacity improvements. As the water table comes up, capacity improves, right? Because the pump's not having to pump as deep of an aquifer level. So we track that, we put together a spreadsheet, and a lot of that will come to council when we start talking about the conservation phase and changing into the summer months.
Thank you, Director Knight.
Vice Mayor? No questions. No questions? Okay, how does council wish to proceed? I don't have any question. Staff recommendation
Move to receive the report
to continue the declaration.
and declare the local emergency.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. No further discussion. Call for the vote. Passes unanimous, 5-0. Now we'll go to number 7.
Thank you, Your Honor. The last scheduled item is the consideration of updated statement of investment policy, and we could provide the staff report or answer any questions that you might have.
Want me to take it, Mayor?
Please.
And I told staff about this earlier, but for myself, I had trouble comprehending this and going through it. And so what I was wanting is just if we could bench this to next meeting, and I could dig a little bit deeper in understanding the way we invest and the rules and the changes that could possibly come be coming to the charter. That was just my question. We had talked about it a little bit, and hopefully we could do some studying on it with staff, just to educate myself a little bit more on it, but I just don't feel comfortable voting on this tonight for myself.
How does council wish to proceed? Do you wish to carry it over? This is the one that we reported out from the audit committee.
Right. My only concern with this is that I believe our auditors are wanting to complete the audit, and it was one of those things they wanted us to update, because this is actually, a lot of this is state law required. So, I mean, we can go ahead and continue it. I don't know. I haven't had I wasn't expecting this. Do we know, Janie, is there a problem with that? Maybe I should ask Janie. Janie will know.
No, the auditors are okay if we
Okay.
move it forward to the
Just
next
wanted to make
meeting.
sure.
And then I'm open to meeting with you if you have additional questions.
Vice Mayor?
I was just going to make the comment that I understand council members wanting to learn more, but this already has gone through significant discussion and presentation through a committee that several of us serve on. That would be my only comment in case this type of discussion comes up in the future.
And I can echo the sentiment, because we did spend time at the audit committee, but I don't have a problem with holding it over for one more meeting.
Yeah, I would support that as well. I have a few comments in the margin and some highlights. I see a lot of things stricken, and I know that we're not going to invest in mortgage-backed securities, and yet there's still all these paragraphs related to other options related to mortgage-backed securities, and maybe that could come out too. So I would be happy to attend any kind of follow-on meeting that we have.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be
To
great.
ask
Thank
your
you.
questions, and that way it can be brought back on the calendar.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll reach out and get something scheduled for the council members to meet with Janie.
Okay, number 7 will come back, maybe under a different number. Moving right along. Donnie, we're almost there. With the AB 1234 reports, this is the time for all AB 1234 reports required pursuant to Government Code 53232.3. The first one, TCAG, actually, that is the COG, Conference Council of Governments. That is the very first time I have ever attended and was invited to not participate, but to watch and observe at this meeting. This is the COGS statewide, and representative, the board itself is 41 board of directors, and they're mostly made up of the COGS, the transportation agencies and transportation authorities. The first thing we did was go to a board meeting, and some of the items that they discussed were their priority progress. I am this person going in to attend something that I have never participated in, but was able to pick up on some of the dialogue. Then they had a REAP budget update. And a lot of the people that I met on Zoom virtually, it was good to connect with them in person. Again, the REAP budget update, and they went over their legislative principles update, and they had a discussion, the replacement of tax education. And then they talked about the Sustainable Partnership grant applications. What was really unique about attending this board meeting, that all the COG representatives, or whoever their representative was, they came in statewide, and how important it was for them to attend the meeting. Some of them flew, some of them drove in the really bad storms just to get there so they could have a quorum and conduct business. I was really taken by that, understanding bits and pieces, especially when they talked about housing. The actual conference itself, there were 200 plus or minus attendees. Again, it was statewide. So the only participants were the COG directors, the board of directors, the representative from authorities and associations. Our sessions, we didn't break out. We all met in one room for all the sessions. And what they covered was items about expectations of the community with changes that are changing with the impact on transportation revenues as they charge ahead with EV policies, and managing the lanes. They talked about the future of a tolled facility, that in some cities are moving in for the tolling of transportation. And then they talked about pricing. Very interesting, again, and then REAP, housing, regional planning, transportation, the ZEV efforts. Mr. Knight, you would have understood all of this conversation. I'm sitting here, I'm still trying to remember what the acronyms were that were presented to us on that day. But on the very last day, the keynote speaker, we were able to have a conversation with her. She was the Assembly Transportation Committee Chair. And what she brought to the table and how it was she got to her position and the different things that it's Assemblymember Lori Wilson. She came to share her ideas on transportation. And before I left, I made sure I gave her our card so that we could maybe reach out to her or she would be in touch with us. So that was it. And we came back because the weather was working against us. It was a good experience, that being first, having been invited to observe, watch, and assess a different world, a different kind of meeting. Okay, we'll move right along with PATA. There was no quorum? No quorum, no meeting. Okay, that's kind of too bad. There was a Water Commission meeting of February the 12th, which was canceled. We're going to meet again in March at the next regularly scheduled meeting. We'll now move on to oral communications. Rogelia, would you like to come up for oral communication? No? Okay. Okay. The answer was no. Okay, do we have anyone on virtually?
Any bear being poked?
Do we have anyone on virtually?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, moving right along, we'll go to other matters. Councilmember Beltran. No oral, no.
Don't have much to say, just, I love this time of the year in our community, the green, everything's coming back to life and all that, and I feel for those who have allergies.
Oh, yeah.
But I love this time of year in our community, and just stay safe as the weather gets warmer. I find myself playing baseball, riding bikes now, and just be safe out there and enjoy the weather. So that was it.
Thank you. Councilmember Weinrock.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the City Audit Committee for all the presentations, also the city directors, employees, and the city council that have worked really hard to help us keep our finances in a good place. I was just curious, tax revenue, I think we saw a report a couple of council meetings ago that there was a drop in the tax revenue coming to the city. Is there an update on that? Do we still see revenues dropping, and are we worried, not worried, but is there any concern about meeting budget amounts?
Well, that's a lengthier discussion, not because of any drop in sales tax.
Okay.
I think we're down 1% as of third quarter. So no, but that is not unique to Porterville. They're seeing about a 1% drop in sales tax across the board. I do know that our property taxes are up because of inflation. So we're tracking it, and we are actually starting our budget process early. Staff is going to be meeting next week or the week after to begin our process, so we're starting early.
Okay, thank you. Were we able to share the chamber's calendar on our website? Do we open up that avenue of sharing some of the information? Because there's a lot of good information that we heard from Christy today about, upcoming events, and maybe if we could help get the word out. I know maybe our city webpage might be monitored a little bit more closely than the chamber's website and their calendar.
I believe, excuse me.
Well, I was just going to say, I think the Choose Porterville site.
Correct. So the Choose Porterville site often on things partners with the chamber. Also on I believe on the community development, the Choose Porterville website, which is on the city website, has a link on there to the chamber's website.
Thank you. Councilmember Meister, you'd mentioned that if the resolution on medical freedom didn't pass, that you'd bring it back. And I was hoping that we would see something in the packet, do you plan to bring that back, or do you know if Blessings of Liberty is preparing to maybe adjust the language or use the language to bring that back, or is it something that you guys are just going to let soak for a little while?
You know, I don't have an answer on that, Don.
Okay.
I felt that if we didn't want the resolution, then why have the proclamation? So that's my stance on it right now. That's where I kind of stepped back and I said, if this is the way the body wants to go, then that's the way the body wants to go.
Yeah, from a city position, the body did go one direction. However, there's, and you know, I don't want to get into a long dissertation about my concern of the language of it over a period of time and the staff time, but we spend a lot of staff time trying to make things right that still may or may not pass. But there's, you know, that's one of any number of big issues that could come to the council that don't detract from the business of the city. You know, I think it was really important to have that dialogue, and I was just curious if you were going to bring it back. But, you know, if there's a concern about religious freedom or some other rights that, you know, just take up an exorbitant amount of time and discussion up here, you know, is that really what we're here to do? And in a way, yeah, I get it. And I think you heard me that, you know, something else comes around that somebody's trying to ram down our throat. We as a council have the right to discuss it and learn from the past and make different decisions. I'll just leave it at that. I did appreciate the oral communications from Mr. Meister, Mr. Flowers. I was hoping to see Mr. Flowers in the audience today. I didn't know he was a poet, and I was going to compliment him on what I read in the Porterville Recorder. Time off for voting. There's election coming up, and I just want to encourage everyone to get out there and register and vote. And then finally, if there's maybe an information update, City Manager, on Love Our Cities, is there anything that we could report out on what that's all about? And
We have a Zoom with them scheduled this week. Yes.
is there an introduction or a thought that you could share with the council to bring them up to speed on this Zoom meeting?
So actually, this organization had actually been brought to our attention by Councilmember Wyrock, and it is a really interesting, cool, community-driven organization that focuses on the positive aspects of communities. And so we have reached out to, I believe it started in Merced, Love Merced.
Or Modesto?
Modesto. And so we have reached out to that individual, and we have a Zoom with that organization to learn more about it and see if there's, you know, a possibility of doing something in Porterville.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, Councilmember Meister.
If I may, one other thing.
One.
Is there perfect attendance of all the directors in the House tonight? I mean, I'm looking around and I'm seeing people that I usually see on the computer screen, and
Everyone is in the house.
good for you. Thank you for coming out tonight, yeah.
Okay, Councilmember Meister.
Now we just got to figure out how to get the community in here, right? So, I want to thank Mr. Ridenhour tonight on the thermostat. You did a great job. I have not sweat tonight, so I greatly appreciate that. And then I want to thank my colleagues for appointing me to Flag Day Committee. I think that is a great honor for myself, and I greatly appreciate it. I'm excited for the Wall of Fame. It's right around the corner. We saw our nominees, and really, well, no, we haven't seen that yet. Excuse me. Was that in there?
Yes.
Yeah, it was. Okay, so, excuse me. Excited for it. It's a great event. Really looking forward to it. I didn't get to make coffee with a cop, but I just love that you guys are doing it. Continue the efforts. I'm hoping that you have something, Chief?
Yeah, it went really well this morning. We had several citizens attend and meet and talk with us. My command staff was out there along with about 9 to 10 officers plus our crime prevention unit. So it was a really good time.
Yeah, and that community just involvement in building the spirit. You know, there's police officers around our nation were demonized, you know, just a short 4 years ago or whatever it was, and we saw some tragic things happen. And so I think taking that approach and building that spirit with the community, which you've always done, but I love seeing it. I hope you continue it. I'd love to see it in the schools, and I imagine it's something you do with our officers already. I wish I could have made it today. I really do. So thank you guys for doing that and continuing that outreach to our community.
But you can still hit pizza with the police.
Put me on the spot, Patrice. All right. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. Like, I don't take enough time. Now we're talking, Chief. Now we're talking. You got me. Tonight, my father came in and spoke up about the atrocities that happened to him, and it's kind of eye-opening and honorable in a way to see my father there speaking his truth, and I wasn't expecting that. And you see where I get my fighting spirit, I could tell you that. You know, the resolution failed, and this last couple weeks, I've been showing Alexandra Macedo around town, brought her to Breakfast Rotary, Lunchtime Rotary, and Setco to meet our locals. And I got a comment from a local business owner at Breakfast Rotary. And he asked me how I was doing because he could tell I was, you know, I was upset that it failed. I wanted to see this resolution go through. There was a lot of work involved in getting it to that point. And he encouraged me with his encouragement. And what he told me was that having leaders like myself on this dais gives him courage, and that he will never go along with a mandate from the state like that again. He learned a great lesson. And so it's something that encouraged myself, because it's discouraging to lose and to take all the slings and arrows from certain community members, and it just meant a lot to me. So I want to thank that person. He knows who he is. Parks and Leisures, 15 encampments a week. Outstanding. That is outstanding. Thank you for doing that. I know it's not an easy job. We can't ask more. I mean, it really is. And so thank you. I'm hoping that we can find a way to get some of these people the right equipment. I know we've talked about it in the past, but hearing how many encampments we're cleaning up a day is really eye-opening. So I thank you for that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Just two things. I just want to mention, I was going to also say thank you for the report on the cleanups and the community activities. I think those photos really help just to kind of get a glimpse of that work going on. And I just want to say two more things, and that's it. I'm short tonight. The weather, I love it. I think it's good for the land and all of us, but just, want to just say, be cautious out there at your homes and traveling, and especially driving. And then the last thing is just want to wish my first grandson happy birthday. Today's his birthday. He's 3, Wesley Ushkanoto. So that's it.
Happy birthday to your grandson. All right, moving right along. Donnie, we're moving right along. Okay, I want to say thank you to the people who attended the CDBG Block Grant Community Meeting. Shout out to Claudia, Luisa, Christina, Fabian, Alita, and Captain Ron Moore and Battalion Chief Chris Pisani for attending and being there to support. It was good. And I did attend the Farm Worker Appreciation Day. It's one that I have not missed in a while, and dropped in at 11 and the community resources that were available to them. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. This is like, wow, they came to support Donnie today for the time. We're moving right along. Patrice.
I really don't have anything other than please drive safe out there. Roads are wet.
Wow, with that being said, congratulations, Donnie, 7:49. Meeting is adjourned.